Picture this, Christmas 1826. The air is crisp, the snow is falling, and the spirit of the season is everywhere. You're a young cadet at West Point, the most prestigious military academy in America. The pressure is immense, but so is the honor. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? Wrong. For you, it's a time of strict discipline and rigid rules. You see, your superintendent, a certain Colonel Sylvanus Thayer, is a stickler for the rules. A man who believes in order above all else. And guess what's on his naughty list? That's right, Christmas cheer itself. No decorations, no parties, and certainly no alcohol. No alcohol allowed, not even a drop of eggnog. The very essence of Christmas joy is banned. Can you imagine the festive outrage? The cadets were beside themselves with frustration. Now, I'm no stranger to a bit of rule-bending myself, but these cadets, they were facing more than just a slap on the wrist. They were facing expulsion, black marks on their permanent records, the lot. The stakes were incredibly high. Imagine being kicked out of West Point for a glass of eggnog. It seemed almost absurd, yet it was a very real possibility. But then again, rules are rules, eh? Or are they? The cadets began to question the fairness of it all. Because our brave cadets, fueled by Christmas spirit and perhaps a yearning for something a bit stronger than water, decided they wouldn't stand for it. They were determined to celebrate. They were going to have their eggnog, and they were going to have it their way. Secretly, they began to plan their rebellion. What followed, my friends, is the stuff of legend, a night of defiance that would go down in history. A tale of rebellion, revelry, and yes, even a little bit of vomit. The Eggnog Riot was born out of sheer determination and a desire for joy. This, my friends, is the story of the Eggnog Riot, a moment in time where the spirit of Christmas clashed with the iron fist of discipline. Colonel Sylvanus Thayer, a name that struck fear into the hearts of even the most rebellious cadet. His reputation for strictness was legendary. He was the father of the military academy, the man who transformed West Point from a ramshackle training ground into a respected institution. Under his watchful eye, the academy became a beacon of military excellence. He was all about discipline, rigor, and absolutely no fun whatsoever. Every aspect of cadet life was meticulously controlled. Thayer believed that alcohol and military discipline were about as compatible as a hamster and a hawk. To him, alcohol was a threat to the order and discipline he had worked so hard to instill. So he banned booze on campus. No exceptions, no leniency. A reasonable rule, you might think. After all, discipline is key in a military academy. But for cadets used to celebrating Christmas with a good old-fashioned eggnog bender, it was an outrage. The holiday season was their one chance to let loose. These were young men full of testosterone and holiday spirit, remember. The festive season was a time they looked forward to all year. They'd risked life and limb to get into West Point, and now they were being denied their festive tipple? It felt like a slap in the face. They grumbled in the mess hall, voicing their frustrations to one another. They plotted in the dormitories, hatching plans to defy the ban, and they dreamt of eggnog-fueled freedom. The idea of a Christmas without eggnog was simply unthinkable. Little did Thayer know, his iron grip on the academy was about to be tested by a Christmas concoction. The stage was set for a showdown between tradition and authority. The cadets knew they couldn't just waltz through the front gates with gallons of the good stuff. Thayer wasn't born yesterday, and those sideburns probably detected contraband from miles away. They needed a plan, something cunning, something daring, something involving a laundry basket. You see, desperation breeds innovation, and these cadets were nothing if not resourceful. The plan was simple, yet elegant. Smuggle the whiskey into the academy under the very noses of the guards, disguised as fresh laundry. 4 gallons of whiskey, hidden in plain sight. The night before Christmas Eve, under the cover of darkness, Operation Booze insertion swung into action. The cadets, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and festive anticipation, watched as their boozy laundry basket disappeared into the academy. They'd crossed the Rubicon. There was no turning back. Christmas Eve arrived, and the tension in the air was thicker than Aunt Mildred's Christmas pudding. The cadets gathered in the North Barracks, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. Word had spread like wildfire. There would be eggnog tonight. As the clock struck 9, the first bowl of eggnog, spiked with enough whiskey to fuel a small car, was raised in a toast. What started as a hushed gathering quickly descended into a full-blown bacchanalian free-for-all. The North Barracks became a scene of joyous chaos. Songs were sung, toasts were made, and furniture was... well, let's just say the furniture saw better days. Remember those 4 gallons of whiskey? They were flowing faster than a politician's promises during an election year. Section 5. Mayhem and Merriment. Now, I wasn't there personally, but I like to imagine the eggnog flowed like wine at a Roman orgy. Cadets, their inhibitions loosened by the festive spirits, engaged in all sorts of shenanigans. They danced on tables, they sang at the top of their lungs, and they even attempted to teach a parrot to recite military regulations. It didn't go well. And then there was Jefferson Davis. Yes, that Jefferson Davis, future president of the Confederacy. Now history remembers him as a rather serious fellow, but on that night he was the life of the party. Legend has it that he even led a conga line through the North Barracks, brandishing a mop like a battle standard. The night wore on, and the revelry reached a fever pitch. Windows were smashed, furniture was broken, and at least one unfortunate cadet ended up taking an unscheduled dip in the Hudson River. It was, in a word, glorious. Section 6. The Hangover Aftermath of the Riot. Christmas morning dawned cold and bright, revealing the North Barracks in all its post-eggnog glory. The scene must have resembled a battlefield. Broken furniture, shattered glass, and the lingering aroma of whiskey and regret permeated the air. Colonel Thayer, I imagine, was less than impressed. He stormed into the North Barracks, his face a thundercloud of fury, and surveyed the damage. An investigation was launched immediately, and the hunt was on for the perpetrators of the Eggnog Riot. The cadets, nursing monumental hangovers and even more monumental regrets, were rounded up. Court-martials were held, punishments were meted out, and the academy buzzed with gossip and speculation. Some cadets were expelled, others were suspended, and all of them learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of mixing eggnog and rebellion. Section 7. Sylvanus Thayer, the architect of discipline. You might think Colonel Thayer would have loosened up a bit after the riot. Perhaps a nice sherry by the fire, or a cheeky glass of port with his Christmas pudding? Not a chance. If anything, the Eggnog Riot only strengthened his resolve. He doubled down on discipline, tightened the already strict rules, and basically made life at West Point about as much fun as a week in a monastery. But here's the thing about Thayer. He wasn't just some heartless martinet. He genuinely believed that his strict methods were forging the future leaders of America. And you know what? He was right. West Point, under Thayer's guidance, produced generations of military leaders, engineers, and statesmen, men who shaped the destiny of a nation. So, the next time you raise a glass of eggnog, spare a thought for Colonel Sylvanus Thayer, the man who made sure those glasses were filled with something a little less potent. His legacy is not just in the rules he enforced, but in the leaders he helped shape. His vision and determination ensured that West Point became a crucible for excellence, producing individuals who would go on to make significant contributions to society. So as you sip your eggnog, remember the discipline and dedication that went into every drop. Section 8. A Legacy Forged in Eggnog. The Eggnog Riot might seem like a funny anecdote now, a quirky footnote in the history of one of America's most prestigious institutions. But it's more than that. It's a reminder that even in the most disciplined of environments, the human spirit, especially when fueled by eggnog, will find a way to rebel. It's a story about the clash between tradition and authority, about the yearning for freedom even within the confines of strict rules. It's a story that's as relevant today as it was back in 1826. And who knows, maybe just maybe somewhere in the hallowed halls of West Point, the spirit of the Eggnog Riot lives on. a secret toast, a whispered legend, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, a little bit of Christmas cheer can go a long way. Section 9, The More Things Change. So there you have it, the story of the Eggnog Riot, a tale of rebellion, revelry, and the enduring power of a good Christmas drink. It's a story that reminds us that rules are made to be broken, that tradition is sacred, and that even the most disciplined of institutions can be brought to their knees by a few gallons of spiked eggnog. And as for those rebellious cadets, well, they might have been punished for their actions, but they also earned themselves a place in West Point legend. So the next time you're feeling stifled by the rules, remember the Eggnog Riot. Raise a glass to those daring cadets and let their story inspire you to embrace the festive spirit, even if it means bending the rules a little bit. Just maybe lay off the hard stuff before attempting to teach a parrot military regulations.